Hi, I'm Ethan with OAO, and today we're in the woodlands of Perry Farm, and I'm going to tell you about some of the cool animals that are here. This is a tiger salamander, which is an amphibian, and just like all other amphibians, they have multiple stages of life. So after they hatch from their egg, they remain in what's called a larval stage for a while, and in that stage they have external gills. So they're not able to breathe outside of the water yet. But as they mature, they lose those gills and they grow lungs instead. Another really cool thing about them is that they actually breathe through their skin, which needs to stay moist in order to do that. So they live near streams and other small bodies of water in order to make sure that their skin stays wet. Tiger salamanders are also the largest land-dwelling salamander in the world, which is really cool. They're also able to regenerate parts of their limbs. So if for some reason they lose one of their legs, then over a few weeks to a couple of months, they'll eventually grow it back as if it was never gone.
All right, well this is Shelly, the eastern box turtle. And so eastern box turtles tend to live around eastern Kansas, Oklahoma, and even some parts of Texas as well. And eastern box turtles can live up to 100 years, which is a really long time considering they do stay this size the whole entire time. But when they are younger, they do have a bit of a softer shell up until around 6 years of age. And during that time, they tend to eat more proteins, so more worms and insects and things like that. And as they grow older, they tend to eat more vegetation, so more fruits and vegetables. So with Shelly, we tend to feed her more of the vegetables and fruits, but we do give her the occasional earthworm. Eastern box turtles, as well as all the other box turtles, tend to have a little hinge underneath their shell. And so this hinge allows them to close their body like a box. And so with that ability, they are able to hide away from predators so that her limbs and her head are safe from being eaten.
This is a gray tree frog. They're very common in the area. And these guys are super duper cool because as you can see a little bit when he moves, they have these really bright colorings underneath their legs. They can be yellows, oranges, various other colors. And something that's kind of cool about these guys is they are really loud. So when they're trying to find a mate, they use this call to attract their mates. And something that also tends to happen is other frogs will eat these guys for dinner. So sometimes if they hear that call, it can be a good thing because it can help them find their mate, but it can also be a bad thing because it can cause some trouble for them. Something else about these guys, well, these guys are really common in this area. They're not a concerned species or a species that's close to being endangered. But there are a lot of frogs that don't have that. And there are a lot of frogs that are becoming endangered or having issues for various reasons. And so these are some of the cool frogs that you can see in the area.
All right, so this is an American toad. They're really common pretty much everywhere in the eastern United States. They are a little different from frogs. The main difference is that toads have really dry, bumpy skin, whereas frogs often have smooth, slimy skin. This is mostly because frogs live in and around ponds and other bodies of water, whereas toads are often found farther away from water in woodlands, and you can occasionally find them even in your yard or something. So the American toad is kind of cool because as they grow up, they shed their skin, and after they shed their skin, they need those extra nutrients. They can't lose those, so they actually eat their already shed skin. It's kind of gross, but you know, whatever you got to do to get those nutrients in. Toads eat all kinds of insects that they find pretty much everywhere. They're mostly nocturnal, and in the winters they actually hibernate, which means they can be some of the most cold-resistant amphibians in the world. And so here's our American toad.
So this is a five-line skink, one of the few lizard species native to Illinois, and they are found in the southern parts of the state and then also in the far northeast eastern side of the state. Five-line skinks are typically grow from between 5 and 9 inches long, and they are named after the 5 lines that they have on their back. And then they're also easily distinguished by the bright blue tail that they have. And males during breeding season, they grow a much larger broad head and they kind of get a copper coloration. So you can easily distinguish males during the breeding season. Five-line skinks are typically found in moister woods areas, and they can be found basking in the sun during the day. They prefer brush piles and logs and lots of wood cover, as well as rocky outcrops. So they can be found in woods areas, and then also more open savanna-like areas where sandy soil and lots of dead wood material for them to hide under and bask on. Five-line skinks eat many insects, from worms and mealworms to just about any small-sized insect and crickets, that kind of stuff that they can find. Five-line skinks are very skittish and quick, so you can often see them out basking, but if you approach them, they will quickly skitter underneath the logs that they are on. And they're also, one of their unique adaptations is they will drop their tail when they are grabbed. So you have to be very careful if you were trying to handle or catch one, because they will very readily drop their tail to escape from predators. While five-line skinks are not endangered or threatened in the United States, they are quite rare to find in Illinois. So when you are out hiking in the woods, be on the lookout for these very unique lizard species.